Hollywood is a mess, but can James Gunn save the DCU? You know, for ages I thought there was something wrong with me, that I was the problem, that I just couldn't accept what Hollywood were doing to characters in movies and TV shows, even though the changes were completely horrible to me. I didn't understand why we were having to root for characters that were so horrible, and why men were suddenly being treated not just like the enemy, but also like they were completely stupid. You know, I used to get excited about going to the cinema. I used to go all the time when I was a kid. Great stories, fascinating characters, different worlds and universes to enjoy away from horrible reality. And then Hollywood came along and decided to just mess everything up. So for today's therapy, I'm going to be letting off some steam and talking about my thoughts on James Gunn taking over the DCU and the current state of Hollywood, because I'm a movie buff and I'm fed up with Hollywood. I remember when we used to watch movies to escape horrible reality, not be preached to for whatever reason. But characters have gotten worse. Well, they're not characters anymore, are they? They're a joke. And movies don't have stories anymore either. For me, watching a good film was a form of therapy, to escape reality. I just wanted to get into some sort of world, some universe. For example, John Carpenter's Escape from New York, released in '82. Great flick. Very small budget, no visual effects whatsoever. Okay, so that's not entirely true. But overall, the visual effects for that film, which were mostly old score, are still fantastic today. Just fantastic acting and Snake Plissken having to get the president out of New York as quickly as possible. Because if he didn't, well, it wouldn't be good for him. If you haven't watched that film, I highly recommend it. But those are the kind of films that Hollywood just doesn't make anymore. There are plenty of classic films out there which Hollywood are either not making anymore or they've completely ruined. From rebooting franchises to doing cycles or prequels which just aren't as good as the originals. Every time they now say that it's going to be updated for the modern audience, I cringe, because now I know that's a really bad thing. A few years ago, they announced that they were going to be doing an Animorphs movie. Now, some of you may remember the Animorphs from back in the day. The books were written by an author called K.A. Applegate. Good author. I had a ton of Animorphs books. Read through them all, regret getting rid of them, or maybe I lost them, I don't know. But I enjoyed reading them. And they were debating whether or not they should make alterations to the characters to make them more relatable for today's audience. But that wasn't necessary. All they had to do was stick to the material from the books. Any Animorphs fan will tell you that. Just stick to what made the characters great in the first place. You don't need to make changes, because loads of people, even the new generation, Generation Z or the new millennials, whatever, they will appreciate the way the characters were back then, because they were so relatable, and their ability to morph into whatever animals they needed to accomplish a mission or save a friend. Fantastic stuff. But K.A. Applegate left the project because they had a disagreement with the choices, and apparently the film was scrapped. And you know what? I'm glad it was scrapped, because I would rather them not do an Animorphs movie than make an Animorphs movie that's woke, that has political agendas in it that ruins the characters, and then they make up excuses for it. No, I don't want that. In fact, if they did make an Animorphs movie, right, that had all the woke nonsense in it, I would refuse to acknowledge the film existed, because that's how passionate I am about Animorphs. And now James Gunn has come in and he's saying that he's going to do all these alterations to the DCU with Superman, with Batman, with other characters. Now maybe he can do a good job. Maybe he can. We'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, I'm really not that optimistic, because of how many times Hollywood have messed things up. They always do that. They always preach to us. They always put propaganda in their films. And all it's done is stress me out, which is why I had to be, well, what's the term I'm looking for here? I had to be indifferent. People like Chris Gore, the critical drinker, even Matt Walsh, and what's the guy? Ben Shapiro, right? They've all been reviewing films for several years now, and they've come out with some pretty good takes. They're calling out of Hollywood on their nonsense, and a lot of people are now cancelling Disney Plus, or they've already done that. I have Disney Plus, but for one reason, and that's because since Disney acquired Fox, all of Fox's back catalogue are now on Disney Plus, which means there's a ton of great TV shows there I can enjoy, which I couldn't have before. I'm not counting any of the new Disney Plus shows. I'm counting only the back catalogue, the things that are actually worth watching, because there is some decent stuff. So it's, in a way, it's a shame that so many people have wanted to tell Disney to go shove it by cancelling their accounts, even though there's a lot of good stuff on there because of Fox. But I also understand why they've cancelled the Disney Plus account. It's because these days Disney can't be trusted. And frankly, I haven't watched a Disney movie in a long time. I just can't trust them either. Haven't wanted to. Just think of one famous or really popular character that you love from the movies or TVs or shows or video games, and Hollywood decided to deliberately make one small change to that character which wasn't needed, that frankly basically ruined that character, even though they insisted it wasn't a big deal, and they would call you an isterophobe for not liking that change. How would you feel? Because even though some people may think, well, they're just movies, who cares? Well, for some of us, it is a big deal, because we grew up with some of these movies and these characters. We don't want to be preached to. We enjoyed the way these characters were. We enjoy seeing the character progression, where they came from. We like the underdog story. We don't want these ruined. We don't want these butchered, and Hollywood keeps doing that. That's why we've gotten to the point where we don't care. At least I don't. I don't want my therapy sessions with the movies to be over. I enjoy the escapism, the fantasy, the excellent characters. There are plenty of them, and I don't want Hollywood to ruin them anymore. The only films I'm looking forward to this year are Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, because Tom Cruise always delivers for his fans. Especially the Mission Impossible films, and They Never Woke. And the second film is Dune Part 2. I enjoyed the first one, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the director is bringing to the table for this new one. But anything released by Disney, I just don't care about. I used to be really excited about going to the cinema when I was younger, and within the past decade or so, but now I'm not. I'm just not. I have to wait for the people I follow on YouTube to let me know if a film is worth seeing or not. Top Gun Maverick, that was a surprise hit, and I enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to watching it again. But frequently, all Hollywood ever do is kick their customers and their fans, the movie buffs like me, in the butt all the time. So far, the DCU has been a complete mess. There's several films that I haven't really cared about watching. I'm not sure about Aquaman 2 yet, but I did enjoy Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, and I'll probably get some slack for that. No, not slack, hate. And I definitely enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League. But when we've only just gotten used to these characters, we're now having to be introduced to new versions of them, even though Henry Cavill was the perfect Superman for this new generation. And I enjoyed Batfleck as well. I'm not optimistic about this, and I am actually dreading what James Gunn is going to do with the characters. I have no hope for this new franchise whatsoever, though we'll have to wait until 2025 for the new Superman. Fortunately, it's not a reboot, but still, they should have brought Henry Cavill back for a new one. They should have, because I badly wanted to see a sequel to Man of Steel. An underrated film, not the best, but still underrated. A character I can identify with, because I also frequently have felt like I just don't fit in. But those kind of characters, they're rarely done anymore. And I'm just not thrilled. There were actually a few positives from Hollywood's messing up movies. First of all, I've saved a ton of money with not bothering to go to the cinema or even open Netflix, so that's handy. And the other thing is, I've saved a lot of my time by watching classic stuff that Hollywood to this day can't beat. So that's pretty good, right? Well, that's it for this therapy session. Feel free to like, share and subscribe. And in the meantime, take care, and I'll catch you next time.